Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Sunday morning practice. So, next week we'll return to our regular programming. We'll be back on Saturday morning, but just this week, we're moving it to Sunday because yesterday, you noticed the swelling. I had some dental surgery done. In any case, so this week we're rotating back to what I call pranayama, the practice of breathing. And I'll explain more later for those of you who are new here. But it's probably the most important things that we can do to improve our health and maintain our longevity is to learn how to breathe with the diaphragm. Okay, I'll come back to that. But to begin with, to pair it with the um, pranayama exercise, we're going to be doing some joint exercise because the reason why the abdominal breathing or the breathing with the diaphragm is important is that it actually has the benefit of maintaining the balance between our sympathetic and our parasympathetic, and we call that the life energy. And where we see most of the blockage is in the joints. So we have the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder for the upper body, and then for the lower body, the equivalent would be the the heel, the knee, and then also um, the hip, right? Okay, so before we do anything, we need to come back to our body. We need to focus on our body. Let's just focus it on the lower part of a spine, and then let's walk up the spine, one joint at a time. As we walk towards the top of the head, we're going to stretch the spine. Let's stretch it as hard as we can. And then we're going to lean back and relax. Now we're going to focus on the shoulder, and we're going to lift up our shoulder as high as we can, as if we're lifting up the shoulder to our ear level. Then we're going to open the shoulder all the way back, as if you're squeezing a tennis ball in the back. And then we're going to relax the shoulder. Let's just relax it some more. Now we're going to focus on the forehead, lean back the forehead so the ears on top of the shoulder. And then we're going to tuck in the chin. Now we're going to focus on the center of a palm. We're going to bring the hands up together with mind. Mind-body togetherness is actually the meaning of yoga. In the Northern Indian is called yuja. Now we're going to focus on the wrist, and I want you to turn the wrist. Now keep in mind that we're actually doing meditation. We're doing mindful meditation. In this case, I interpret mindfulness as in anchoring your mind on the wrist. Realize that you're actually making one turn at a time. There's a beginning of the turn, and then there's the end of the turn. At the beginning of the turn, I want you to develop this habit of finding out, asking yourself, where is my mind? My mind is drifted off somewhere else, thinking about what has just passed, or thinking about the future, things that hasn't happened. I want you to learn that new habit of focusing on the present, focusing on the wrist. Feel the change in your wrist, one turn at a time, one turn at a time. All right, now go the other way. Focus on your wrist, one turn at a time. We're actually practicing meditation, just that we're not sitting still, we're moving. And human species is capable of all four postures. Sitting is only one of them. We can stand, we can lie down, we can walk. And walking is the dynamic part of a posture. So is exercise. So we learn to meditate in all four postures. Now we're going to lower our hand, make sure that your mind is at the center of your palm, bring it down slowly, the same way you brought it up. Now we're going to come back to a spine, stretch the spine, lift up the shoulder, lean back, open the shoulder, and then relax. Focus on the center of your palm again, bring it up. And this time we're going to focus on the elbow. Again, we're going to turn one turn at a time. Again, you're going to ask yourself to anchor your mind on the elbow. One turn at a time. One turn at a time. Concentrate on feeling the changes in your body. any heat, any sweat, any numbness, any pain, any kind of change. Now we're going to turn the other way. One turn at a time, one turn at a time, one turn at a time. And we're going to lower the hands back to the spine, stretch the spine, lift up the shoulder, lean back, relax. We're going from the wrist to the elbow, and now we're to the shoulder. I want you to focus on the center of your palm. I want you to bring your hands up, crossing your hands this time. Bring it up in front of you. And then bring it on top of you. And then I want you to stretch as hard as you can. Now, before you bring your hands down, I want you to anchor your mind on the center of your palm. You turn your palm outward, and you open that shoulder, and you feel the pain on the shoulder. And then you let go of the pain. You focus on the center of your palm again. Let go of the pain. Let go of the pain. Once again, stretch as hard as you can. Palm facing outward. Open that shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. Let go of the pain. If you don't let go of the pain becomes suffering. And you just stretch and stretch and stretch. And then palm outward. Coming down. Feel, accept it. And then another time. All the way up. Stretch as hard as you can. Palm facing forward. Open that shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. Continue to anchor your mind on the center of your palm. And then stretch. Open. Feel it. Let it go. Now we're going to turn the other way. Up. Stretch. Bring it down. Focus on the center of your palm. Open. Stretch. Come down. Open. Stretch. Come down. One last time. Open. Stretch. And bring it back down. Now we're going to do front and back. Okay? Now open the shoulder. And then relax. All right? Now focus on the center of your palm again. Bring it up. Entirely focus on the center of your palm. All the way up. Get ready. Open the shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. Come back. Anchor your mind on the center of your palm. All the way up. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. Come back to the center of your palm. All the way up. Open. Feel it. Accept it. And then let it go. Another one. Feel the pain. Accept that pain. Let go of the pain. Okay? We're confronting the pain. We're confronting the pain. We're not hiding from the pain. We're going to feel it. We're going to accept it as it is. And then we're going to use this mindfulness, what I call anchoring, to just not let that pain becomes you. All right? Now we're going to go back to the front. All the way back. Stretch. Bring it back down. All the way back. Stretch. Bring it back down. All the way back. Stretch. And then bring it back down. All the way back. Stretch. And then bring it back down. Now we're going to meditate while sitting. Okay? We're going to switch from the dynamic to the static. Again, static can be sitting, can be standing. We're going to be doing some standing meditation. It can be lying down. In the past, I have taught lying down meditation. But all those are static form. And then when you're in static form, then you focus on your breath. You anchor your mind on your breath. You start with knowing. I know that I'm breathing in. Now, when you focus on your breath after you do an energetic exercise, you feel that, oh, the breathing is very, very fast. It's very, very rushed and irregular. That means your mind is very rushed. And what you want to do is slow that down. And you start with knowing. I know that I'm breathing in. I know that I'm breathing out. And what you want to do is you want to return your body into the parasympathetic, what is called the rest and digest. One breath at a time. Okay? All right, so we're going to continue. We have 3 more exercises to do. And the next one is basically the same. It's also on the shoulder. It's really using the pain on the shoulder to learn about meditation, learn about letting go. And letting go is not a mental process. It's not like just let it go, right? Let that shit go. It's not that easy. You actually have to discipline yourself by really accepting the anger, accepting the sadness, accepting whatever it is that causes these emotions. You just have to feel it. And then after you feel it, you have to have the discipline and say, hey, there's nothing I can do. I just let it go. And I accept it as it is, and I just let it go. Right? So my wife and I both retire. And these days, my wife has to leave the house early in the morning because she's helping to do some renovation. And so I believe it was Thursday morning. Yeah, Thursday morning was the garbage day. And so she left the house. I did my morning class. And afterwards, I went out and collect the garbage can. And always, and quickly I realized that, hey, there's a lot of dogs in this neighborhood. Everybody does their job picking up after the dog, but not this guy, right? He just let it pile of shit in front of my driveway. So causes a lot of anger, a lot of despair. Not despair, but despise. How can people do that? I have camera, I can go up and look at the camera, but what for? What for? I accept it, and then I just let it go. Go to the garden. Go to my garage, get a hose, and just wash it off. Wash it off. It's not within me, right? I didn't have to consume the hate and let the hate become me. Just let it go. Let it go. If I want to, I pour some bleach, wash it off, and then the bleach will. The dogs don't like the bleach, and I know that won't happen again. So when my wife came back, she was really upset. And she said, "Did you see that?" And then I just look at her and laugh. And this happens enough that she said, "Oh, shit, he's meditating again." Yeah, just let it go. Okay, we don't need this. Simple things, but it's a practice, right? All right, so let's practice letting go, right? Letting go is the final step. It's a discipline. You first have to feel it. You feel it in the sense that you say, I'm going to confront it, right? This is not what I want, but I'm going to confront it. But then when I realize that there's nothing I can do, then I have to accept it. And then when I accept it, then I have to let it go. And letting it go means that you maintain that mindfulness, you maintain that concentration. All right? It's very important. It's very important. Right? Yesterday, I spent 2 hours in the dentist's office. The dentist happened to be my brother-in-law, so I can't really complain that much. He's a dental surgeon. Not only that, he's the chief dental officer for all 33 prisons in California. He just come home on the weekend. He does it for fun. So he's working on my teeth and he's grinding it and he's doing all that. And he's doing all 3 teeth and on this side. And it's just like, oh man, it was just like the sound of it, the pain. And I just said, well, okay, I have a choice. I can really suffer through this. Oh, I just recite my Heart Sutra. So I just recite my Heart Sutra all the way down. And then if I can't quite do it, I just put my hands on my stomach and I just breathe, just one breath at a time. I feel it. It's a habit. It's a practice. It's a lot of work. All right. And the end result is that you live a happy person regardless of what's going on outside. Right? It's not that I'm avoiding what's happening in our country. I'm not avoiding. I understand the severity of what's happening. I understand the erosion on our democracy, a country that I spent the last 55 years helping to build. It's really, but what can you do? What can you do? Right? There are things I can do, so I do those. But beyond that, you just have to say, hey, the time will come. The time will come. All right? So let's continue the practice. Stretch, lift up the shoulder, relax, lean back, and then relax. Let's put the left hand in front. We stretch out the right hand. Now, the trick to this exercise is that we're actually using only one side of the brain. So when we focus on the right hand, we're using the left side of the brain. And so we're going to follow the hand, making a nice big circle in front. And now we're going to bring it all the way back. We're going to feel that pain. And then we're going to say to ourselves, I'm going to accept that pain. And then I'm going to let it go by switching from the left brain to the right brain. Now I'm focusing on the left hand. And open the shoulder. Feel the pain. Accept that pain. And then let go of the pain. Go back to the right hand. One at a time. Feel it. Accept it. And then let it go. Going from one side of the brain to another. Feel it. Accept it. And then let it go. Sit up straight. All the way around. Feel it. Accept it. And then let it go. Feel it. Accept it. And then let it go. Two more times. Feel it. Accept it. And then let it go. Sit up straight. One last time. Feel it. Accept it. And then let it go. Now we're going to come back to the sitting position. Entirely still, which means we're going to focus on the breath. And before we do anchoring, we do what is not knowing. I know that I'm breathing in. I know that I'm breathing out. One breath at a time. Try not to have any random thoughts. Try to focus entirely on your breath. One breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out, right? And just kind of just settle down, right? That's what you have to do. That's what you have to learn here. All right, so we're going to do the second exercise. The next two prepare ourselves for the sitting meditation. And so first we're going to energize the body, right? So two things happens when you just sit still and meditate. People sit still and meditate and they fall asleep, which actually is not a bad thing. So you relax. You relax, right? You're stopping the release of stress hormone. You can at least get some sleep. But that's not really what meditation is for. And so you want to make sure that you got plenty of oxygen in your brain so you're totally aware while you're sitting. The other thing that happens when you sit is that you don't know how to anchor your mind, and so your mind drifts away all the time. We call that monkey mind, right? All right, so let's just get our body energized. So stretch, open, lean back, and then relax. Okay. Now let's bring out right hand. We're going to form a fist. We're going to follow this fist. Get ready? Up. Come back. Feel the vibration that comes back to your shoulder. Up. Come back. Sit up straight. Down. Sit up straight. Down. Up. Up. Down. Down. One last time. Up. Up. Down. Down. Now, two hands, open your shoulder. One, come back, feel the vibration. Two, come back. Three, come back. Four, come back. And then five. And then now back to the breath. As soon as you do any kind of energetic exercise, you want to spend equal time on the restorative. I want to restore my balance, focus on my breath, going from the fight or flight back to the rest and digest. One breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Now, there's two English words that are intermixed. One is called disease, and one is called illness. I'm not really sure the difference, and I don't quite know how to use it to express the difference. But in Chinese, it's very obvious. What I call illness is one word, and what I call disease is another word. The Chinese word for the disease has something inside that is meant to be like a spear. Right? Somebody throw a spear at you. So in the Chinese word for disease is that you're being attacked by a pathogen, right? A virus, germs, or any kind of pathogen. So the reaction is acute, and for the longest time, we in the Eastern world didn't have any medicine, but now we do, right? We have antibiotics. antibiotics. We have all kinds of things that deals with diseases that comes from attack of pathogens. Illness is another word. Illness, the word inside is not the spear, but a word that in the old days meant a vessel, a container. Back in the days when the Chinese didn't know how to make ceramic containers, everything was in metal. Everything was metal, very heavy. And they all have 3 legs. So if you see any of them old movies, the container that they use to drink water all has 3 legs. And the idea is that illness is when something happened internally. And what they're talking about is with the balance of qi, the balance between yin and yang, right? So they make a distinction between disease, which is when you're being attacked, and illness, when there's something fundamentally wrong with your body. So when I think about health and longevity and all the things that we're suffering these days, as simple as, not as simple, I mean, as serious as diabetics, to heart disease, to fatty liver, dementia, right? These are not disease that comes from outside. These are disease because that comes from inside. And so I was thinking about this morning, these diseases, what I call lifestyle diseases, is actually a direct result of electrification. Before electricity is always very scarce and very expensive. Like when I grew up, people go to sleep in basically total darkness. And then when the sun comes out, they go to work. And it's just very obvious when the body is in fight or flight, and it's very obvious when the body is in rest and digest. Just like the way we used to do hundreds and millions of years ago when we were living in a cave. So my whole thing is to return to those days, live according to the sun, live according to when I'm supposed to be in rest and digest, and when I'm supposed to be in fight or flight. If you ever notice what's happening these days with the Western medicine, cortisol is the new cholesterol. Let me explain. So many years ago, decades ago, the doctors started to notice that a lot of people die from heart attack. And when they do the autopsy, they realized that the vessels were full of cholesterol. So they come to the very quick, very logical decision: cholesterol is the problem. So let's invent some drugs to reduce the cholesterol. Well, they can't quite reduce cholesterol, but they can reduce what's called LDL, which is a container, a protein, lipoprotein, that carries cholesterol from our liver to wherever we need. And so they said, oh, those are the bad cholesterol. LDL is a bad thing. So let's just knock it off. And what happens is that 90% of a brain is cholesterol. 80% of the brain or the cholesterol are generated by a body, not by consumption of egg yolk. So now they start to realize, oh, neurological problems, Parkinson, Alzheimer, and so forth, it's related to the cholesterol medicines that we give to patients. So if you go to your doctor, if they have any modern knowledge, they will tell you to stop taking the cholesterol medicine because there's increasing evidence that that is not a good thing you should consume. So they start to try to figure out what to do with people who have cholesterol in the bloodstream, because they haven't quite get there yet. But I want to tell you that the reason why you have cholesterol in the body, in the bloodstream, is because your body is trying to heal itself. Your body sees all the inflammation in the vessel and it's trying to repair it. That's all. Now, when I say the cholesterol, that's in the past, and then I said, well, you know what? The cortisol is the new cholesterol, because now they realize that all these modern diseases, they are all related to inflammation. And all those people whose body is inflamed, they have more cholesterol than anybody else. So now they're saying, well, let's knock down the cholesterol. Let's knock down the cholesterol. And that would solve the problem. Well, why is it that nobody asked the question, right? Why is it that nobody asked the question that cortisol, I don't mean cholesterol, I misspoke. I meant cortisol. Cortisol is a steroid. It's a steroid. Steroids only does one thing, is to reduce inflammation. So how can people whose body is inflamed has more cortisol than anybody else? Because they're constantly in fight or flight. They're constantly in fight or flight, and they have so much cortisol in the body that the body gives up and we develop something called cortisol resistance. So the problem is not cortisol. The problem is you have too much of it. And so everything we do here, every week that we get together, is trying to maintain, restore that balance between fight or flight and rest and digest. The first thing you want to do is to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest. A big part of the parasympathetic system is what's called vagus. The vagus nerve starts in the back of the ear, goes down to the neck, all the way down into a body, become part of the diaphragm, and then goes inside to all the organs. It's the longest autonomous nerve system that we have. So the next exercise is about relaxing, activating the vagus nerve. So let's just sit up straight, open our shoulder, lean back, and then relax. Let's take our hand, put our thumbs in front of our shoulder. Let's roll up the fingers. Now let's focus on the elbow. Let's lift up the elbow and then let the rest of the body follow the elbow, including the shoulder. So the shoulder goes up, entire spine goes up, stretch as hard as you can, as if you're bringing the shoulder to your ears. Now let's follow the elbow, and the elbow is pointing back. So now you're going to open the shoulder, open as far as you can, as if you're squeezing a tennis ball in the back. Now you're going to drop the elbow and you're going to relax. And then finally, you're going to point the elbow forward. You're looking down, you stretch, you're hunching. And now let's once again follow the elbow up, looking at the camera, close your eye, and then follow the elbow back, open your shoulder, follow the elbow down, relax, and then follow the elbow forward, and then completely hunch. As you lift up the elbow and the body is following the elbow, I want you to take a deep breath and very gently breathe in until you completely open the shoulder. And then as you drop the elbow, I want you to breathe out all the way until you completely hunch. Breathe in, relax, breathe out, relax. Now, the only way it's going to work is if you actually relax, okay? Breathe in, enjoy this. This is all about you. Just enjoy it as if you're doing a spar for your body and your mind. Breathe in, lift up, open, breathe out, as if you're squeezing all the air from your lung and your stomach. Breathe in, relax, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. In, out. One last time. Breathe in and breathe out. Now lower your hand. Focus on your breath. One breath at a time. I know that I'm breathing in. I know that I'm breathing out. Now I want you to come back to the body. Always start with the body. I want you to kind of feel your legs and make sure you put some pillows and blankets so you're not lifting up your legs. You're not using any muscle. I don't want you to lift up your arms, so just put your hands on your knee, on your thigh, anywhere. Then I want you to come back to the spine I want you to start at the lower part of your spine. I want you to move up to the spine, one joint at a time. And then I want you to stretch your spine as you move from the bottom of your spine to the upper part of your spine to the top of your head. Then I want you to lean back to the point where you feel like, I'm just going to fall over. Actually, you won't. You see, my body is actually right, perfect. Then you're going to relax. Then you lift up your shoulder, you open that shoulder, and then you're going to drop that shoulder, and then you're going to relax. Then you're going to lean back the forehead, put the ears on top of the shoulder, and then you're going to tuck in your chin. So the top of the head is on top of your central nervous system. Now I want you to focus on your forehead and in between your eyebrow, and just want to relax. And I want you now to relax your eyelid. Close your eye, but don't shut it. Just relax so you can see some light coming through your eyelashes. And finally, I want you to put the tip of the tongue behind the teeth. Don't push it, just touch it. Touch where the teeth meets the roof of your mouth. Close your mouth, and you should feel some wetness inside your mouth. That means that you are now in rest and digest. If you were in fight or flight, the first thing it does is turn off your saliva gland. Now, saliva is actually very important. It has all the right enzyme to start your digestion, start your immune system, and also start your reproductive system. Now that you have finished calibrating your body, just focus on your breath and start with knowing. I know that I'm breathing in. I know that I'm breathing out. One breath at a time. Now that you're in knowing, then we're ready to move on to anchoring. Let's anchor our mind on a belly button. When you know that you're breathing in, I want you to move the belly button forward. When you know that you're breathing out, I want you to move the belly button back. Just relax, okay? Relax. And just use your mind even. You don't actually have to do anything. Just use your mind. When I breathe in, I use my mind to move the belly button forward. When I breathe out, I use my mind to move the belly button back. As long as you're relaxed, the diaphragm is elastic, then the diaphragm will follow. When you move the belly button forward, the stomach opens, which means the diaphragm is being pulled down. Breathing in. When you move the belly button back, your stomach collapses, which means that you're pushing up the diaphragm. The key is to do it in a very relaxed state so your diaphragm doesn't get stiffened. That's what happens once the baby start to walk, to start to interact with the world. They actually develop some stress, and the stress stiffen up the diaphragm. So what happened is that, except when they were first born, we tend not to know how to breathe with the diaphragm anymore. And we start to use the muscle around our shoulder, creating a lot of stress. And what we want to do is go back to when we were first at mother's womb, where the only muscle that we have was the diaphragm. And it turns out that if you know how to use the diaphragm, you're restoring the harmony between your yin and yang. The yin, away from the sun, that's rest and digest. Yang is under the sun, and that's fight or flight. So let's do this for 5 minutes. It's a practice. I never said that this is easy. Okay? Breathing in, breathing out. Okay. Now we're going to continue for another 5 minutes. So the first 5 minutes is really about learning that you're breathing, knowing that you're breathing, and try to use your stomach, your diaphragm, to be part of that breathing exercise. And so I always use the example of the blacksmith having the bellow, and he or she pushes the bellow. And that's really how you breathe. You shouldn't be using your nose, your nostril to breathe. The nose, the nostril is just a chimney. This is the right way to breathe, using your diaphragm. Right? So it opens a new world, one that, as I said many times, is the beginning of health, it's the beginning of longevity. Now we come to the next part, because the first part is really all about engaging your breathing. The second part is really more about observing now. You just observe your breath without engaging it. So we continue to feel the stomach as you breathe in, and you notice that now that you're paying attention, your stomach actually opens slightly when you breathe in, and it collapses slightly when you breathe out. Now, after we do the full exercise, the breathing exercise, this becomes even more pronounced. But for now, just maintain that feeling. When you feel breathe in, the stomach opens. When you breathe out, the stomach collapses, just like the blacksmith cycling on the bellow. Now I want you to anchor your mind on the very lower part of your spine. And when you feel that you're breathing in, I want you to move up the spine, stretch the spine towards the ceiling. And when you feel that you're breathing out, I want you to come back down from the top of your head, through the forehead, through the bridge of your nose, through the connected tongue. Okay, the tongue needs to be connected, and comes back all the way to the belly button. And as you come down, I want you to lean back and relax. Now let's do 5 minutes, and then we're going to do more exercise, and then we're going to come back to meditate again. And this time, I'm going to talk about how this exercise not only improve your physical health, your neurological health, also there's a way to improve your spiritual health. We'll do that later. But for now, focus on the lower part of your spine. When you breathe in, you stretch your spine, you walk up the spine until you get to the top of your head. And then when you breathe out, you come back and from the front, you lean back and you relax. Okay, let's open our eyes. So we're going to continue to do more meditating. Okay. So there's a comment from Sophie. I believe that was when we were talking about inflammation in the body. So yes, very much so. Glucose is a big part of this. And in fact, I posted in all the social media about an article um, that summarizes a study that they did in Sweden, where they trying to figure out the difference between people who live a long life but a healthy life and people who live a long life but very unhealthy, right? So these days we have no problem with lifespan. The Western medicine is doing its best to prolong the life of people who are very sick. So lifespan is not the issue; it's health span that is the issue. How do you live the remaining of your life as a healthy, independent person? That's what I want. And so they find out that the difference is inflammation, right? Those who live not only a long life but a healthy life, their daily habit, the food that they consume, the exercise, their sleep quality, and also the attitude towards um, the world is different. And whatever it is that they do, they're doing it right, and they have a lot less inflammation in their body. And they discover that there's three things that really indicates that their body is inflamed. One is glucose. The other one is, I believe, is pronounced carotene. This is the marker that they use to see if your kidney is deteriorating. I happen to know that because my mom is taking diuretics, and the doctor wants her to test her blood, almost every 3 weeks or a month, right? Just to make sure that the kidney is not deteriorating too fast. And then finally, is uric acid. Uric acid, you might say, oh, that's just gout, right? GOUT, gout. In fact, gout is called arthritis. Gout actually is the precursor for a stroke. Okay? All right, so let's do some more exercise. Let's do some stretching, but particularly we're stretching the meridians that are what we call the yang, what's facing the sun. And this is to improve our vitality. Okay. All right. So let's do some deep breathing. So let's come back to our spine, stretch your spine, lift up our shoulder, open the shoulder, lean back, and then relax. Always relax. Okay. Turns out that the key to good health is to know how to relax. Now, you take your hand, lock it together, you put that in front of your belly button, you follow the center of your palm. As you lift up the hand, you take a deep breath. And then you breathe out, following the palm facing up. And then now you're looking straight ahead again. And I want you to stretch the spine, pushing the center of your palm upward. And then I want you to lean back, stretching the spine. I want you to come back to the middle, push again as hard as you can, locking the elbow. And then the entire upper torso, lean to the left, stretching the spine. Come back, push again, and then lean to the right, stretching the spine. Come back in the middle, push as hard as you can, lean to the left. Come back to the middle one last time. Push as hard as you can, lean to the right, and then come back in the middle and focus on the center of your palm. Bring it back down. Relax. Open the shoulder again, stretch, and then relax. Hands joining again. Okay. And flip, push, eyes looking forward, up. Once again, stretch the left, come back, stretch the right, and then bring it back down. Okay. I kind of got the sequence mixed up. I already did the stretching and I forgot to continue the deep breathing. Let me start again. Okay. So sorry. Okay. Let's continue. Breathe in and then breathe out. Looking straight ahead. Open your fingers, pointing the center of your palm outward as if you're climbing the mountain, stretching the upper part of your arm. Back. Breathe in. Breathe out. Looking straight ahead, open the arm, climbing the mountain. Second time, one last time. Breathe in. Breathe out. Looking straight ahead, climbing the mountain, and then relax. Okay, then we do the stretching, which you already did, right? Okay, so now back to the spine, open the shoulder, lean back, relax. Now we put the right hand on the left shoulder, we lean back, so we're putting stress on the right shoulder. We grab the right elbow, we sit up straight, and then entire body stretch to the left. Come back, sit up straight, putting pressure on the left shoulder, entire body stretch to the right, and then come back to the breathing. And slow down the breathing so you're returning to the rest and digest. One breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Now open the shoulder again. Lean back, relax. Left hand, palm facing up. Right hand, put that between the fingers and the palm. Bring the hands down. Push out the elbow, looking straight ahead. Bring up the hand so the palm are facing forward. Without turning your upper torso, take the left hand and bring it all the way to right, locking your elbow. Come back, relax. The other side, sit up straight, bring it down, push that elbow, looking straight ahead, bring it up. Without turning your body, take the right arm and then bring it to the left. Come back and then relax. Back to the breathing. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. One breath at a time. Now open the shoulder, lean back, relax. Right palm facing up, left palm facing down. Open the shoulder. Now imagine the sky has fallen onto the palm of your right hand. I want you to push up as if you're pushing the sky up, all the way up until you lock your elbow and the wrist is like 90 degrees and the palm is facing upward. Now imagine that the earth has come pop up and now you're pushing the earth down, same thing. And now I want you to take the right arm, lean back. Then I want you to take the head and turn it to the left until you get to the shoulder. And I want you to keep turning the eyeballs until as if you're looking at your back. Then I want you to bring back everything and then relax. Now we do the same thing on the other side. Push up the left hand, lock your elbow. Push down your right hand, lock your elbow. Lean back the left arm, turn your head to the right, stop at the shoulder. Turn your eyeballs until as if you're looking at your back. Bring everything back and then relax. Now we're going to stretch the spine. Notice that we're doing a lot of stretching on the spine. The spine is a very important primary vessel for the yang energy. And so we sit up straight, we open the shoulder, we lean back, and then we relax. We take our hands, we lock our fingers, palm facing up, palm facing down, bring it down until you lock your elbow. Now focus on top of your head as well as the center of the palm of your hand. And one up, one down. Push the head up, push the hand down. One up, one down. Stretch the spine, and then relax. Lean back the forehead so you're looking at the ceiling, 45 degrees. Now bring up your hand as hard as you can, and then relax. Back to the breathing. One breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Restore the harmony, okay? Now open your shoulder, lean back, relax. Right hand touching the back, top of the head, facing the sky, looking straight ahead. Lift up your right shoulder, and then relax. Now do the other hand, looking straight ahead, lift up your left shoulder, and then relax. Back to the breathing. Okay, now sit up straight, open that shoulder, lean back, relax. Back of the hand, right hand touching the lower back, two fingers pointing the left shoulder. Bring down your right shoulder and your fingers up, and then relax. The other hand, sit up straight. Bring down your left shoulder and your fingers up. Okay, now two hands, fingers touching, or try the best you can. Looking straight ahead, two shoulders, right shoulder up, left shoulder down, and then relax. Same thing, left shoulder up, right shoulder down, and then relax. One last exercise called the reverse Buddha. First, we're going to relax, focusing on the breathing. Restore the harmony. Now we're going to stretch the shoulder again, open that shoulder, lean back and relax. Now we're going to take two hands, palm facing, palm touching, fingers pointing down. We're going to turn the fingers, so fingers are pointing up. We're going to bring it up as high as we can. We're going to sit up straight. We're going to open that shoulder. We're going to push the palm forward. We're going to focus on our breath, one breath at a time. And then relax. Back to the breathing. Okay, now we're going to get on the floor. And we're going to continue with the joint exercise. I mentioned the three important joints in the upper body are the wrist, the elbow, and the shoulder. For the lower part of the body, the equivalents are the heel, the knee, and the hip. So we're going to work on all three. First, the knee. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now to the heel. Left heel first. Heels up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now to the left heel. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Now the next exercise is actually very good for your kidney, and the kidney is a important source of life, and so it activates both your kidney energy line as well as your bladder energy line. The two are yin and yang. And so you do that by opening your shoulder, relax, and lift up your forehead, tuck in your chin, so you're looking straight ahead. And I want you to focus entirely in front of you and stand on your toes. Now, if you drift away, you're going to get scared, and then you're going to fall, right? Now, second time, let's try it again. Stand, focus, and then as you come down, you impact the heel slightly. One last time. Okay, now the next one is, remember we were throwing the fist? This is similar for the lower part. And so I want you to stand on your left foot, balance, looking straight ahead. Then I want you to kick the right foot using the heel. Okay, get ready. 1, 2, 3. Now go to the right, balance first, looking straight ahead. 1, 2, and then finally 3. Okay, all right. So that's knee, the heel, the toes, everything. Now the hip. The hip is very important. As we age, the hip is what's going to prevent us from falling. Okay, because when you lose balance, you need the hip to restore. And so the hip is very important. So let's stretch the hip. We stand on the right foot. We bring it to the left foot. We form a straight line between the knee, the heel, the knee, the hip, and the shoulder, and we turn as hard as we can. Then we bring it back to the right foot, relax, second time. And then relax, one last time. And then relax. Now to the left foot. Bring it to the right hip, turn, forward, relax, second time. Forward, relax, one last time. Forward, and then relax. Okay, so we're now ready for the breathing exercise. The breathing exercise mainly is to train your diaphragm. So there are two keys to this. One is that you need to anchor your mind on the center of your palm. This is the meditation. The second is that there are times when we open the chest cage, and that's when we want to breathe out. The reason is that when you open it and you breathe out, then you're bringing the diaphragm up. Otherwise, there's no way to actually exhale. Okay, so the exercise is designed to do that. So I'll remind you. Now, first, we're going to do stand on the bottom of your feet. We're going to focus on the center of your palm. You bring it up, 1. You bring it towards you, 2. And then you lower your entire body, 3. And then you stand back up, 4. Okay, focus on the center of your palm. Breathe in, 1 and 2. And then breathe out. And then relax. Breathe in, lift it up a little bit higher. Breathe out, relax. It's very important that you anchor your mind on the center of your palm. Breathe out. Okay, now that's just a preliminary. So now we get to the really good part. Bring it up, crossing your hand. And this is the part where you want to train your diaphragm. So you breathe out. You don't stop. You breathe out. You breathe out. You keep breathing out until you get to the end. Then you breathe in gently. And you breathe out again. You stand back up. And you breathe in. Get ready? Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Stand up. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. One last time. Focus on the center of your palm. Bring it up. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Okay. Now we're going to do some 1 minute of standing meditation. And so we're going to stand firmly on the ground. We stand like the pine tree. We sit like the bell. And so the feet is like the roots. So you have to grow some roots, stand firmly. Then the rest of the body is like the body of the tree needs to be flexible. Okay. So if you can, loosen up your knee. And now focus on your breath. 1 breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in. You follow all the way to the exhale. I know I'm breathing out. And then you recommit yourself and says, I'm going to do another one. Just 1 at a time. I know I'm breathing in. Okay, so let's do that for 1 minute. Okay, now the second form is called balloon breathing. So you stand with the right foot forward, you lean back so the toes on the right foot are pointing up and you're looking at the ceiling 45 degrees. Then you bring up your hands high enough so you can actually see it with the corner of your eye. And then you roll your body forward, embracing yourself, looking down this time. And the left foot, the heel is up. And then you bring it back, open, the toes are up. As you roll your body forward, you very gently taking an in breath. And then as you roll back, you open, you breathe out. You don't stop in the middle. You go all the way. And then you let your body breathe in gently. And then you breathe out. And you just relax. Let the body, let the lung relax and bring in the oxygen, bring in the air by yourself. Breathe out. Relax. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe out. Breathe out. Okay, one last time. Breathe in, and then breathe out. Lower your hand. Come back to the bottom of your feet. Stand firmly on the ground. And now anchor your mind on your breath, one breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in. I can feel my in-breath. I know I'm breathing out, one breath at a time. Completely relax. Okay, now to the left, get ready. Breathe in gently. And then breathe out, very persistent. Oh, there we go. And then let the body breathe in naturally. And then breathe out. Breathe out. Breathe out. Breathe out. Okay, one last time. Breathe in gently. And then breathe out. Lower your hand. And then back to the standing position. 1 minute. Focus entirely on the breath. Start with knowing. I know I'm breathing in. Relax. I know I'm breathing out. Okay. Now the third one is called a butterfly. So lift up your arm, follow to the center of your palm. Bring it back down, lower your knee, straight down, okay? Bring it back up, and then now we're gonna stand on the toes, lifting up the heel, focusing on the center of your palm until the back of the hand is touching. As you come down, just breathe in gently. As you go out, you breathe out. You don't stop in the middle until the hands are touching. Breathe in, breathe out. In, out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in very gently. Breathe out. Now, you don't actually have to follow me. You can slow it down to half speed. The only thing is that you just need to focus on the hand, right? So you don't let your mind drift away. Breathe in and breathe out. Now bring it down. Going to spend another minute meditating, one breath at a time. Now we'll do what's called a push hand. So imagine, so you just stand like this. You don't need to lean back now. You do that later. And you see like this water wheel in front of you. You bring your hand in front. You bring it to the top. You bring it down. You sit on your left foot. Then you're looking straight ahead through the center of the water wheel and you push. As you bring your hands up, you breathe in. And then you breathe out as you push, as if you're pushing the air out. In, open that shoulder. Out, as if you're pushing all from your kidney, basically from the lower back. Okay. Breathe in. And all this time, you just focus on the body. You focus on the sensation of your body without judging. Breathe out. And what you're doing is you're letting go of your intellect, which is a thinking mind. And only by then do you get to understand the intelligence in your body, not the intellect. Breathe out. Breathe in. And then breathe out, push. One last time. Breathe in. Okay. Back to the standing. 1 minute. Okay. Now to the left, get ready. Breathe in. Breathe out. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. One last time. Breathe in. And breathe out. Back to the standing position. You notice that this one actually uses all 6 joints, right? And actually you need to coordinate the joints, the wrist with the heel, the elbow with the knee, and the shoulder with the hip, okay? But I'll remind you next time. Okay, now the last one actually deals mainly with your adrenal gland. Okay, so those of you who has lightheadedness or dizziness, mainly because you have too much cortisol your adrenal gland is working overtime, and so when you actually need it, it doesn't react fast enough, and that's why you have lightheadedness. Okay, so this is going back and trying to restore that sensitivity. We take a deep breath, and then we breathe out as we squat down, opening our knee, get all the way down, and then press the back forward. And then when we stand back up, we breathe in, we go all the way until we bend our back, and then we relax. Second time, breathe out, breathe in, and relax. One last time, breathe out, breathe in, and relax. Okay, this is in fact one of the tests that many Western doctors will give to the elderly to see if they can stand up from a sitting position, let alone a squat down position. And if you get lightheadedness, then they know that there's something very wrong with you. Okay, so 2 questions. Question number 1 from Katie. Do you mean cholesterol is naturally in the blood and that's what the medicine is for? Okay, so earlier I talked about cholesterol. First of all, our brain contains 80% of our brain matter is cholesterol. Our blood cell needs cholesterol. These are fats that we generate with the liver. Cholesterol is not your enemy. Cholesterol is what you need to survive. If you don't have cholesterol, and the doctors start to understand it now, is that can affect your neurological health. Parkinson, dementia, it's all related to taking cholesterol medicine, because they treat cholesterol as your enemy, and they treat high cholesterol, right, as the disease. It's not a disease, it's a symptom of a much deeper disease, which is that your blood vessels are inflamed. Imagine my walls have started to crack. I'll go buy some cement and just fill up the crack, right? Because I can't afford to tear the house down. And your body's doing that. There's no one is helping your body. And so they're putting out cholesterol to help fix the inflamed vessel. That's all. Okay. And the medicine that you consume knocks down the cholesterol by knocking down LDL. All right. Second question. Are these Qigong moves? Okay, so first of all, Qigong means different things to different people. But let me just say that Qi means life energy, which starts with breathing. And that's a good question because I got to get to the next part. And Gong just means practice. Now, depending who you ask, they would say, this is Qigong. That is not Qigong. That's like the 5 guys trying to find a blind person looking at the elephant. You ask them, what does the elephant look like? One guy would say, oh, it looks like a rope because he's touching the tail. And one guy says, oh, it feels like the wall because he's touching the body, and so forth and so on. So if you want to call this Qigong, I don't have any problem. Except that I would just say that this is Qigong as hand down by Bodhidharma. So it's actually a yogic practice, okay? So yogic practice is beyond the body, beyond the Qi, right? So if you go to the original teaching of the yogis, they separate the existence into 3 parts, like the Russian Taoists. On the outside is what they call the food body. It's what you consume this morning. And when you die, you have to give back. It's just as simple. Not a single cell is left. That's called the food body. And then the next layer is basically the intellect, right? It's also part of your physical existence, because when you die, it goes away anyway. And then the third layer is what they call energy. They actually call that nadi, which is the energy that happens to travel through you. When you die, they don't disappear, they go back. And then finally, there's two more layers. Okay, so which has to do with your mental attachment, aversion, and so forth. And then finally, something that we don't need to get into that. But the point is that the yogic practice, this is practiced by the yogis, is much more than asana. So we were doing some stretching. You can say, well, that's yoga. Well, it doesn't look like yoga, and we don't look like yoga, yogis, but it's actually a practice of the body, what's called asana. Practice of the breath, the branch of the yogic practice, the 8 limbs of yoga. Practicing of the mind, those 3. But the precursor of that is like the practice of your moral standard. I know in the West we don't like to use the word because it's judging others. We don't judge others, we judge ourselves. We live by our own moral standard. Okay? We don't kill, we don't lie, we don't steal, we don't have sexual misconduct, and we don't take drugs that alter our mental state. Those are the 5. At the same time, we dedicate ourselves to service, right? We share what we know with others, right? We accept people as they are. That's the 2nd limb. Then you have the asana, and then you have the pranayama, and then you have the practice of the mind. And then finally, you get to Zen, which is basically sentimentation. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And then eventually you get to what's called samadhi. Okay, one mind, body together. All right. So I focus on the breath. We pick up where we left off. Okay. So I focus on our breathing. It's a lot easier now, right? Because you just did that exercise to basically use your diaphragms. It's a lot easier to see your breathing, and you can see that your stomach opens as you breathe in. This is muscle memory now, and you see that your stomach collapses as you breathe out. And we connect. We start with where we left off, which is we focus on the lower part of the spine. We breathe in, we walk up the spine, we stretch the spine until we get to the top of the head. We breathe out, we lean back, and then relax. Now I want you to think about what we're doing here. When we breathe in oxygen. Well, the lung is like a sponge. It just goes out and it takes in the air that's outside, whatever is available. Most of it is nitrogen, but some of it is oxygen. So it takes the oxygen and it gives it to the heart. The heart is like a pump. So the heart takes the oxygen and dutifully, right? And it actually uses iron in your blood, right? And it carries those oxygen through your bloodstream. Now the liver is doing his job too, but the liver is like a filter. It's like a coffee filter, right? And the liver together with the gallbladder, they're together as a yin-yang pair. They're doing their best to filter out the toxin in your bloodstream. And that's why it's very important that you go to sleep at 11 o'clock. Because from 11 to 3 is when the liver energy and the gallbladder energy is active. If you don't sleep, then you're not getting the 4 hours worth of filtering. It's as if you're getting a blood transfusions every day. Okay, we talked about this in the past. But in any case, what's really providing the source of life is your kidney. Because in the Eastern perspective, the essence of the kidney is the marrow. So all the oxygen actually comes through the spine and creating marrow. That's your source of energy. And eventually, the Chinese believe that the brain is just a seed of marrow. And eventually, the life energy gets up to your brain. So back to the breathing in. At the bottom of your spine, you stretch your spine, you go up. That's the life energy that we talk about. It all comes from the oxygen. But I want you to think about where the oxygen comes from, because it came free. It doesn't matter if you're rich, you're old, you're black, or yellow. It doesn't matter. We all get to share the oxygen. But where does it come from? It comes from the trees. There's a whole bunch of animals out there. They're all beings, just like us. We just happen to be the human being. That are protecting the trees, creating the oxygen that is the source of our life. So as you breathe in, move from the lower part of your spine, you go up the spine, you stretch your spine, you feel the life energy. I want you to be very, very grateful. I'm grateful for all the trees, all the beings out there that are supporting this particular life form. So as you breathe in, I want you to be very grateful. And then as you breathe out, you lean back, you relax, you realize that the breath is actually one life cycle. When we were born, we breathe in. When we go away, we die, we breathe out. We tend to think of that as one life cycle, where in fact, every breath is one life cycle. It's as if the beginning of life is when you breathe in, and the end of this life cycle is when you breathe out. And then it starts another life cycle. Breathe in, go up, and breathe out. So I want you to practice two things. As you breathe in, you stretch your spine. You ask yourself, I'm very, very grateful for this life. And then when you breathe out, you ask yourself, okay, this is the end of one life cycle. It's time for me to take responsibility, and I want to accept myself as who I am. I want to accept all the other beings as who I am. It's time to let it go. You breathe in, you stretch your spine, you focus your mind on gratitude. When you breathe out, you lean back, you focus your mind on acceptance, as if you're letting all your trouble settle down into your stomach. And your stomach is like the lotus pond, and you just want to settle to the bottom of the pond. And you focus on top of your pond, and you want to just maintain the calmness on top of your pond. You don't want to get mixed up with the mud. And whoever it is that causes you suffering, causes you pain, it's as if they threw a rock into your lotus pond and you don't follow that rock. Because if you follow the rock, you just end up in the mud. Right? What you consume consumes you. Right? Now, let's just sit 5 minutes and focus on gratitude and acceptance. Start with yourself. I'm grateful for who I am. I'm grateful for the health that I have. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my parents. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for my fellow travelers. I'm grateful for all the first responders, the doctors, the nurses, the ambulance driver, the guy who works at the counter at my grocery store, everyone who's out there supporting my life form. I'm very grateful for them. And then when you breathe out, you want to clean house. You just say, hey, I'm going to let it all go. I'm not going to bring it with me. And I'm going to start with accepting myself as who we are. I'm going to accept others as who they are. And from acceptance, you can start thinking about forgiveness. 5 minutes, okay? Then end the class. All right, open your eyes. So Sophie, the comments that from Sophie is that I like what we do here. I want to look up the source. I don't think there's one source, but I think there are elements that we combine, and I think you can start by looking up what life energy, chi, or meridian, or energy points. Those you can look up those. And it's very easy now. And I said this before with AI, you can, instead of doing a search and find a bunch of articles and trying to figure out what each article is all about, you can actually do an AI search using Google. I use Gemini. And so then you ask the question and they actually um, basically write you an article and you can start from there. Okay. And if you have any more questions, join our a group um, um, uh, mindfulness fellowship and ask question there, right? And I most likely would answer in the form of an article. Anyway, so I think a month ago I talked about how I had a chance to participate in a youth group, which happens to be what's called the Hungry Ghost Day, right? So the kids were getting together, participating in a Buddhist event, and they wanted to know what Hungry Ghost is all about. And I explained that it's actually a degeneration of the Buddhist tradition. The Buddhist tradition is actually what we call the Buddhist Joyful Day. I talk about that, right? So today it turns out that I'm asked to go back and because there's another event and the kids want to participate, and it's called if I translate into English, it would be called the Earth Treasure or Earth Store Bodhisattva Day. And so they asked me to talk about that, and I said, well, I don't mind talking about it, but it's important to understand that that's fictional. By the way, Buddha never taught that. This is something that the Chinese Buddhists find it necessary to describe a bodhisattva, and bodhisattva is someone, a being. A being is a sattva, a being who has committed himself to the path of enlightenment. That's called Buddhi. Someone who actually have attained enlightenment is called Buddha. And so a bodhisattva is an imaginary form of life that dedicate their life to saving others. And when the Chinese actually have four famous bodhisattvas, and the earth store, earth treasure, or what we call Dijang, is one of them. And he or she represents determination, sacrifice, and commitment. And the thing about her is that she has committed herself to saving those who are um, in the um, in the hell realm. Okay. Now, a live form, a live version of that, a living version of that, is Venerable Dihong. He has dedicated his life to save those who are incarcerated, which is basically hell. Now, we don't judge whether they deserve to be held or not. That's not the point. The point is that we can still bring compassion and loving kindness to them. And so that's my job, is to explain that. And then I said, I'm going to use the earth as the theme today to teach the children's meditation, but focusing on walking meditation, walking on earth, right? That's actually part of the Buddhist teaching. That's why all the monks, they have to go out and beg for food. It's actually a form of meditation, walking on earth. I'm going to be talking about a very famous hand gesture, mudra, what we call mudra. So if you ever visit a temple, especially if you visit a Thai temple, and you look for the Buddha statue that is white, it's actually made of jade, white jade from Myanmar, and you will find that his hand is like this, touching the ground. So that's called a touching the earth gesture, and it basically is the gesture that Buddha uses when he was sitting under the Bodhi tree in the process of being enlightened, and he's calling on the earth to witness his enlightenment. Another issue of earth is, I said, Earth is one of the four elements. We have the soil, the earth, the water, the fire, and the wind. All right, those are the four elements. We need all four to survive. But then the same four can turn into disasters: earthquake, flood, right? Tornado, and fire. Right? We witness all that. And so I said, I want to take this opportunity to also introduce the children to gratitude and generosity by talking about something that they see living in San Francisco every day, which are the homeless people. The homeless people are suffering from these four elements. They sleep on the ground, lack of heat, plenty of moisture, especially in San Francisco, right? And suffering from the wind. And I think the children can understand that is a form of suffering. And I want them to think about two things. I want you to think about how fortunate we are that we don't have to suffer like this. I want them to practice on gratitude. But at the same time, gratitude is a foundation for generosity. Generosity doesn't always mean money. Generosity can also mean how we share our positive energy. So I want you to put your hands together and practice what we call metta, which is kindness. May all beings be free from animosity and negative energy. May all beings be free from mental suffering. May all beings be free from physical suffering. May all beings be full of joy and protected with positive energy. Namaste. Okay. All right. See you on next week. Next week we'll return to our regular schedule, which is Saturday. All right. Thank you. Okay. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.